Hello, thank you so much for joining me today on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. You're tuned in to Rhythm 93.7 FM. I don't know what happened there. Is that a leap pause or what? Rhythm 93.7 FM and Silverbird News 24. Yes, this is your number one talk show on radio and TV. And when I say number one, I'm not mincing words at all. We're talking about your number one deep quality conversation talk show that helps you grow internally and externally. And we like to focus on deep personal issues, controversial topics, gray areas, and we just try to shine some light on mind-boggling topics and mind-boggling questions. Today is no exception. We're talking about parenting. What are the common mistakes African parents make? We're talking about parenting, good or bad parenting, poor parenting or excellent parenting, effective parenting. What are the common mistakes African parents make? This is the topic we're talking about today. Let me remind you that we're still doing our 10K giveaway. To all our listeners and viewers. So you can tap in by joining the conversation to share your thoughts. I said I was going to announce the winner of the last show. Of our favorite question or our question of the day, and we saw your answers. You guys tried. You did well, but you just had to pick just one person. And sadly, unfortunately, not everybody didn't even get the answer, because I said, what are the days, the times, and channels that Deep Waters air on airs, the channels that we air. And you guys tried. You said on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but you guys forgot to mention Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, because we actually do a repeat of the show on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 11:30 p.m. But you all tried, you all did well, but I have to give the money to just one person. And after talking with my team back and forth, they said, you know what, because nobody got it, we'll just pick the person that got the closest, so the person that that was close to it, that was the closest to the answer, and that person is Abubakar. Congratulations, you just won yourself 5,000 naira on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Thank you so much for calling and sharing your thoughts and answering the question. Today, the question I'm asking, guys, I don't want you to call in to give me your answer. I want you to send it on a WhatsApp line, to answer the question, for you to tap into the 10K giveaway. And the question I'm asking is, how many episodes has Deep Waters with Deborah Waters aired? How many episodes of Deep Waters with Deborah Waters has been aired? How many episodes of Deep Waters with Deborah Waters have been aired? I'll give you 4 options. Option A, 143, 143. Option B, 153, 153. Option C, 163, 163. And option D, 173, 173. So if you have your answers, feel free to send them on 0812-806-2337. Don't forget that if you do not contribute on the topic of the day, and you just send your answers like that, you are not valid. If you're not following Deep Waters _ podcast and you just send your answer like that, your answer is not valid. So make sure that you're calling in to contribute on the show, 1, and 2, you are also following Deep Waters _ podcast. Send your answers to 0812-806-2337. Now let's focus on parenting. That's what we're talking about today. What is wrong with the African style of parenting? Is there anything wrong with African styles of parenting? Now we know that parenting styles are different from all over the world. The way the Westerners, teach their children or train their children or raise their children is different from the way Africans raise their children. And they say Africans are authoritarian, like the style of parenting in this part of the world is authoritarian. That means that it's like authority, like you must do this. If you don't do this, you are going to get punished. Like military regime. Okay, maybe not like military regime, but if you don't do this or you don't do that, you are going to get punished. And we as adults, we that were family kids, when we ask, oh, why do you have a parent with African style of parenting? We have a lot to say about that. They say, oh, African parents don't apologize. African parents, they're always doing emotional blackmail. They'll say, oh, it's me that gave birth to you. It's me that carried you for 9 months. So you must do this, you must do that. That African parents are abusive. They're verbally abusive. They're physically abusive. Now, there's no parenting style that is perfect. We all know that no parenting style is perfect. Even the Western parenting style and Chinese parenting style, none of them is perfect. But today we're trying to just understand and focus on what are the common mistakes that African parents make. We're shining the spotlight on Africans. So I want to hear your thoughts. What are the common mistakes that African parents make? What would you like to see differently, from our African parents? Feel free to join the conversation. Call in on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937, 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. What would you say are the 5 big mistakes that African parents make? Apart from they don't apologize, they are always using their physical and verbal abuse. They used to beat their child. Any small thing like this, they'll flog you. While it's good, they say this thing. They say, spare the rod and spoil the child. That's one of the things that African parents used to say a lot. Spare the rod or spoil the child. So do you believe in that statement? What is actually wrong with being a strict parent? What are the effects of African style of parenting in this part of the world? I would love to hear your thoughts and conversations. Call in on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. Let's get the show started on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Hello. Hello. Alrighty. I can't seem to hear you. I think this might be a connection problem, but let's hope that there's nothing wrong. Please do also call back on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. Which would you prefer? The Western style of parenting or the African style of parenting? I did a poll on my Twitter. I asked this question. I said, which parenting style is better? African style of parenting or Western style of parenting? It will shock you that a lot of people actually went for African style of parenting is better than the Western style of parenting. And I was like, these same people will complain about African style of parenting. African parents are this and that and da. But you see people that are still voting for African parenting. That means there must be something good about African parenting. Thankfully, I have a special guest with me in the studio. She's a parenting coach, a counselor, an educationist. She's a certified family engagement in education specialist and the author of The Redefined Parent. She has over 15 years of multi-sector experience that cuts across accounting, insurance, hospitality, and now she's transitioned into education. She also employs tools in neuro-linguistics programming, teen psychology, social and emotional learning in her coaching, counseling, and mentoring activities with students, undergraduates, and also parents. She has facilitated several parenting and personal development seminars at secondary schools and in not less than 50 educational and religious institutions. This is tell you that we're bringing in somebody who's an expert in the game of parenting. She is a founder of the Redefined Teens Academy and Redefined Womanhood Initiative and the author of The Redefined Parent. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me in the studio parenting coach, counselor Biodun Odunokwe. Hi.
Hello, Deborah. Hello, viewers.
Good to have you in the studio. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for the invite.
We're Gaptuti, I didn't know we are.
Exactly.
Good to have you in the studio.
Oh,
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
You're a parenting coach, you're a parent coach, a counselor, and all that. But I feel like sometimes I know that there's a basic, definition of parenting. But I would love to hear an expert opinion of what parenting is like. If you can help us break it down. Like what parenting really entails, if you can do that shortly for us.
Well, let's just say, when you say you're parenting, you understand the social, the academic, the spiritual. It is all encompassing. Every part that a child needs, you have an understanding, and you are able to provide and to guide whoever is in your care as a child, be it biological, be it non-biological, because these days it is not only our biological children that we must parent. We have situations where we have to parent non-biological children as well.
Then who is the parent? Because usually when people just say parent, they just feel like a parent is someone that just gives birth to somebody. And so, from your definition, that is not exactly who a parent is.
Of course not, because there are people that give birth to children, but they are not even there to provide the basic needs for those children.
Interesting.
So we have different kinds of parents. As long as you have responsibility over a child in your care, then you are a parent because you have a responsibility towards that child.
Interesting. I hear that there are like different styles of parenting. Like, are they?
We have read that in books. Yes, we have read several in books. But I would say, oh yes, they are okay. Different people have different kind of styles. We've heard authoritarian. We've heard. I wrote about that
Me
also.
too. I read about
exactly. But the thing is, what is important is that we are able to adapt, with situation, and we are able to have a combination of whatever style that we have chosen. I am an advocate of redefined parenting, and what we're simply talking about is every parent has weakness in one way or the other. Find out what your weakness is and be willing to change so that you'll be able to be a better parent for your child. So that is what I advocate for. Whatever you have decided to, whatever style that you have decided to use, look out for the weaknesses that you have. Then look at how you are going to make adjustments so that you can parent better. That is all.
Well, what does it take to be a parent? Because this thing is as simple as it doesn't sound like it's just about, you said you must be able to all round guide that child in every sector, emotional, physically, financially, and otherwise.
Exactly.
So am I right?
Yes, you're correct.
So what does it take to be a parent? Apart from the popular, they gave birth to you. What are the intricacies? What are the cocoa of the matter?
Well, it takes a lot to parenting is not an easy task, and it is not something that you just do for a few years. It is something that is continuous. So you can parent right based on a combination of your experiences, based on your ability to learn and relearn and unlearn, and to be able to adjust to changing situations.
Interesting. Looks like we have a call. Let's just take a caller. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, my name is Samuel Buchi.
Oh, Buchi, hi. Thanks for calling. Appreciate.
Yeah. When you talking about parenting, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll still prefer the African style of parenting anyway.
Why?
Yeah, because I just believe that being a parent, not just I don't believe the fact that because number one, being a parent is that you should be at least to some level being responsible, being there for the children, being able to raise the children properly. Just as like they say, okay, sometimes you spread the word and spoil the child. I believe that somehow we still need to use those.
But are you a parent?
I'll soon be one anytime soon.
You'll soon be one. So you don't give person belly.
No.
You give person belly.
No, you see this belly way you just talk now. That's something. But I tell you what in the happen now, fear they won't catch you.
So would you say you're ready to be a parent at this point in your life? Apart from you're expecting a child. There's a difference between I'm expecting a child and I'm ready to be a parent.
Yes, no. When you want to be a parent, you must be psychologically ready for that, because being a parent comes with a lot. You have to be, because we have the economic side of it, we have the mental side of it, we have the emotional side of it. So being parents comes with a lot. It's not that by you just impregnating a lady, being there, okay, go to work and just buy. No, it comes with a lot. Just those time you're creating time to bond with the kids, and time to like being there with with your wife, be able to raise that child properly in the way that it should be, and the child will be able to act positively to the society. So being a parent comes with a lot of responsibility, not just by getting a woman pregnant.
All right, Buchi, thank you so much. I wish you all the best in
anyway,
your fatherhood to come.
As for I just hope I win for your. Thank you.
We hope so too. I saw your reply already. Let's hope you win. Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it. All right, now, do you have anything to say on what Buchi just said?
Buchi is actually right with what was said.
Okay.
I mean, you have to be psychologically ready to be a parent.
All right, before we get to all the psychology, let's focus on African parents now. I just wanted us to set the foundation of parenting first. African parents, there's this popular notion that, you see a lot of content on social media that African parents are harsh. If you go online, there are a lot of things to hear about African parents. What are your thoughts as an expert first? As an African parent?
Oh yes, I will not deny that fact. I am a proud African parent. Yes.
Okay, so why do you feel like a lot of kids, children have a lot of problem with you African parents?
Yes, I am proudly one. I am proudly an African parent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think, like I said, when I was explaining earlier, I mentioned the need for us to learn, relearn, and unlearn as an individual, and of course as a parent. However, if parents do not unlearn what they knew before and relearn, that is why we are, having such issues.
Yeah.
I know that because we grew up, in
we
the traditional way, the way we were raised and all of that.
Even our parents were not better parents. So why should that be different?
Well, the thing is, for some of our parents, they did the best that they could. That is how they raised us. But some also, should realize that things have changed. For example, the youth of nowadays, they call this period phone pressing world. The phone pressing world. So a lot of things, a lot of exposures. But that notwithstanding, we are not going to say that what African parents do is totally bad. No. We will look at the ones that need adjustments and make the necessary adjustments.
What are these ones that need adjustments?
For example, you earlier introduced, this subject by talking about complaints about not apologizing. It is
People are always right.
Yeah, it is not. It's a typical one for African parents. However, in the process of us, getting more exposed, trying to understand these children, there is the need for us to know that when we do something wrong, there is nothing bad, there's nothing wrong in apologizing. Apologizing to your child does not make you less a parent. I need us to understand that.
Well, how would an African parent apologize to you?
Yes, well, that's part of
How would you say, like, I'm sorry, or
it depends on the situation on ground. If you have maybe judged your child wrongly, it does not cost anything. I am sorry. It is as simple as that. It's because of pride or whatever that will make people not to be able to say, I am sorry. And the fact that you say you're sorry does not mean your child will take you for granted. You say it and that child will understand. It doesn't mean you cannot exert your authority where you need to exert authority.
Interesting.
But the fact that you have said that and it was a mistake that you made, depending on whatever the situation is, the child would respect you more.
Interesting. What other mistakes do they make?
Before
course, you go into that, let's take another call.
Okay.
All right, comparison. Hello. All right, the number to call is 0705-993-6937. If you have calls, thoughts, questions, we have an expert in the house. If you have questions and thoughts on parenting, you have some issues, being an African parent, you have questions or mind-boggling questions or thoughts, please call in on 0705-993-6937 or 0705-993-7937, and we'll be here to answer all your questions. Let's take another caller. Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Good afternoon. Please, I can't hear you. You want to project a little more so I can hear you?
Hello.
All right, that's better. Good afternoon. Good evening. Thanks for calling.
Thank you very much.
All right, talk to me. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Kaduna State.
Come again?
I'm calling from Kaduna.
Did you hear his name?
Kaduna State.
I know Kaduna State, but I didn't hear the name.
Okay.
All right, we lost that call. Please do also call back. And don't forget, we're still doing our 10K Naira giveaway today. You can tap into it. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah, Abubakar. Thanks for calling.
How are you?
I'm very well. You?
Well done.
Okay.
Congratulations to you.
Congratulations to you. I forgot to even say congratulations.
To you, congratulations to you.
Congratulations to you. Let's see if you win this today's own again.
Okay. Well, African parenting is still the best. But the problem we have is that our parents, they are too harsh. You understand? And we always have emotional trauma they don't give sex education, then they don't teach their children how to save from young age, and sometimes again physical trauma. That is the problem. Otherwise, our own way, style of parenting is still the best because of the discipline. So I think.
Interesting, Abubakar. Thanks for calling. I appreciate your thoughts.
Please help me call the how many times you have heard again.
I said, okay, option A, 143, option B, 153, option C, 163, and option D, 173. I'll be expecting your message. Thank you.
No, 163. Sorry.
143, 153, 163, 173.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, ma'am. So, yeah.
Okay, so I mentioned comparison.
Yes.
Unconsciously.
What do you mean comparison?
Yes, unconsciously parents compare their children with one another or compare their children with other children. They do it in such a way that the children are not comfortable with it. They are usually not comfortable with it. And that could also cause sibling rivalry amongst children of the same parent or children living within the same family, sector. There's one thing I would like parents to know and to understand. Peradventure, we have parents that are used to this, or maybe they don't really understand, and they just find out that they keep comparing their children. Now, the concept of age is very, very important, and I would like to mention briefly about the age concept, talking about the biological age of a child, the emotional age of a child, and the chronological age of a child. Okay. Parents need to take note of this. Now, talking about the chronological age of the child, of course, that's the age in numbers. Now, then we have the biological age of the child. The biological age of the child would have to do with the makeup, the physical makeup of a child. The way a child is biologically, how big, how small, the height, and all of that. Then the emotional age has to do with the maturity of that child. We can have a child that is 15-year-old, but biologically you are looking at maybe an 18 or a 19-year-old. I mean, so it does not necessarily mean, sometimes it depends. The emotional age of that child may be high or low, depending. So you can have a situation where you have two children and one that is well grown, might not be as matured as the younger one. Now, parents need to understand that it is a function of these three ages, and they need to know how to respond.
Parents in
that circumstance. Otherwise, it could cause sibling rivalry, and it could also cause maybe inferiority complex on the parts of the elder one, and a lot of factors or
that
a lot
is
of
incredibly deep there.
Exactly.
So if you don't understand that dynamic, you start saying, you are the elder one. Why are you acting like that? You are supposed to do this. You are supposed to do that. And we do that a lot, actually.
Unconsciously. That's why I said there is need for us to unlearn certain things so that there can be peace in the home, in the family, and
what other things should we unlearn?
Well, unlearning. Okay. We talked about
apology, comparison.
Yes. Also, we have a situation where, so depending on the age of the child, pressuring a child to get married. Of course, marriage is very, very important. But the pressure, especially when a child, maybe has reached a certain age, parents need to understand and allow.
You need to relax.
Exactly. Need to relax. Parents need to relax and then.
My mom started pressuring me to get married at the age of 18. When I turned 18 like this, husband.
Were you out of the university then or something?
I was like my third year.
Your third year. Okay, so that you can.
Yeah, in time. That's a very good one. We need to. So what can they do instead of pressuring on marriage?
Well, marriage is good, but it will come at the right time. It will come at a time, when the child is ready and when every other, things are put in place. Reasonably, so the child in question should also not be too agitated. You can get yourself involved in learning, in skills acquisition, in the things that will make you happy, and of course some associations, some healthy associations.
Interesting.
With
This
also
is
social connections and all of that.
interesting. This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. I have with me Mrs. Biodun Odunukwe, parenting coach, counselor, and educationist, helping us understand African parenting and how we can actually improve it. Because I know so far you people say African parenting is better than the Western parenting, but there are just some small loopholes and some things we need to learn and relearn. What are your thoughts on this? Join the conversation. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Joseph.
Yeah. Good evening, Deborah. How are you?
Thank you for calling, Merciful Joe.
Yeah. Good evening, our guest
Thank you very much.
in the house. Yeah. For your topic, Deborah,
Yes.
I believe on disciplinary for our African children. I believe in Africa culture. So I could remember when we were small, when they brought a boy from all the way from UK when we are still very young to meet us here in Lagos. Are you with me?
I'm here.
Yeah, so we went to the way the guy, I think his daddy brought him to Lagos because the way they want to discipline and grow it up. So they believe that if he grown up in that abroad, to be very spoiled child. So I could remember that time the grandmother normally take care of the boy, and they always beat him, they always teach him how to do this and that and that. So we went to the first primary school together to the first secondary. So, but when he has no left from right very well, when we finished secondary school level now, they now took it back to the UK. So I believe in our African culture on discipline, but it's just that sometimes our mother or father are so somehow harsh to our children sometimes, but at the end of the day, if you are trained like that, you will get that what your parents are doing, they are training it to the right place. That's my own point of
Joseph,
view.
you said you are sometimes harsh. Are you not a parent too?
Now, yes, I'm a parent too.
So are you sometimes harsh?
The way our parents train us is not the way we are training our children nowadays. But
So what are
sometimes
you
I
doing
use an
differently?
action. No, if you use soft hand, like our mother, you normally use soft hand. But sometimes I will use ash on them a little bit to make them know that what they are doing is wrong. Sure, you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Yeah,
So when you say
that's
harsh,
my
what do you
point.
mean? Do you shout at them, or what do you do? What do you mean by harsh?
No, I will not beat them. The way I will do. The way I will shout on them, when they hear my voice sometimes, they will know that, my daddy has changed face, and they will do the right thing. It's not by beating, even self.
Interesting.
So you get what I'm saying?
Yes, I heard you.
That's just it.
Okay, Joseph. Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well,
No.
there should be a balance.
Okay, so you
There
can
should just
actually
be-
scream.
Well,
Can shout
I
at
used
them?
to scream, but I had to unlearn that.
So what is
also.
better than screaming?
You don't need to scream. It depends on the situation at hand. We are used to screaming. Screaming is like a tag for African
We're
mothers.
actually loud
Do you
self in
understand?
Africa. We're very loud.
But of course, that can be unlearned, and I had to do a lot to unlearn that. And I think I'm better. I know, not that I think. I know that I'm better.
How
now.
did you unlearn it?
Well, I had to learn. I had to do some trainings. Really, I read books. I did trainings. Then I practicalized what I studied. And my, children told me that I was better because there were situations where little things would happen at home and I would just scream. But there was a time something happened and I didn't scream. And they were like, and they gave me thumbs up unconsciously, so.
But what are the effects of? I know there are so many things. If Abubakar mentioned sex education, we don't talk about sex education. We just let our children just go. We say don't touch men, don't do this and all that. What are the effects of all these things and all these loopholes in our parenting system? What does it do to the child?
Of course, it exposes the child negatively. Now, the issue of sex education is something that has been on for a very long time. The thing is, many parents are not comfortable discussing it. But I think there's a lot of changes in that. We've had a lot of improvement in that. A lot of awareness about sex education is already in vogue, and many parents are already telling them their children about sexuality education. So many children are getting more exposed now. Gone are the days where we say if you touch somebody, it happened to us. But now it's not about touching. Now you understand, the good touch, the bad touch, and all of that. So I think there's a lot of progress made in that area.
I feel like our African parents, or should I say men, are not very involved in parenting. As an expert, what would you say is the reason?
Well, I think that naturally, because men are known to assume the role of responsibility, so to speak, I think they get overwhelmed with that. Although we have quite some men that are, very involved, So, but notwithstanding, it is to encourage the men, because parenting takes, both sides. I know that there are different forms of parenting and different forms of homes presently, marriages, so to speak. We have single parenting and all of that, which may not make it easy for you to have the husband and the wife parenting the children. But what we normally suggest to either single parents who are single moms or single dads is that they should get either a father figure or a mother figure for the child, so that there can be some level of balance. A father figure, a mother figure, somebody that the child would respect and listen to make the parenting easier for them.
So that's a very good one, though. So that means you have to consciously find somebody around you that you can introduce to the child.
Exactly. Somebody of positive influence. Positive
Emphasis
influence.
on positive
Emphasis on positive influence, because a lot of things happen, these days.
Interesting. This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. I still have with me Biodun Odunikwe in the house, parenting coach, counselor, and educationist. And today we're still shaking the waters on common mistakes that African parents make. So far, I've taken calls from you. Some of you say that our African parents are very harsh. We scream a lot. We don't apologize. We don't talk about sex education and so many other things. What are your thoughts on it? If you have questions and thoughts and comments, please do want to call in on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. We have a caller. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Olawale.
Good evening.
Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Yes, I think African parent is good or something like that. But I want to ask our coach a question: that can somebody be a lion and can it bond to, can it cheat back to a goat or something like that? Because he said something that all parents is good. They say, during my own time, I'm a good boy, I'm a good girl. Why this you are a bad this or something like that? Can it happen that their children or something? Is it the situation that we made ourselves in Nigeria? Why are you too stubborn like this or something like that?
Interesting. Very good question. Yeah. Thank you, Olawale, for sharing. I appreciate it. So did you get what he said?
Okay, I think
so. He said that that a lion cannot give birth to a goat, most importantly. So why is it that some parents, when they give birth to a kid, the kid probably doesn't emulate them, or they try to train and the kid just turns out otherwise, after all the training. So who do we blame in all this? Should we blame the parents after the parent has tried to actually raise the child in the best way that they can, or what's responsible for the way the child has turned out?
Well, the thing is, there are different personalities. You can train a child and the child yields to the training. You can train a child, the child doesn't yield to the training. It all depends on a lot of circumstances, a lot of factors. Number one, what is the parent's modeling? We have to look at that aspect. What environment is the child exposed to? What are the factors that are dominant? Is it peer pressure? Is it a lot of things? So it is not in all situations that maybe you give birth to. I wouldn't want to use that lion. I wouldn't like us to describe, a parent like a lion, but I think I get what it's trying to say. Yes, you can. A lot of factors, So
it's not only what you're saying. Sorry to cut you. What you're saying is that it's not the child doesn't. It's not the parent that has all. The parent tries, but the upbringing of the child is not solely to the parent, because there are all other factors involved. Right?
Definitely, but for the parent, it's primary, because they say charity begins from the home. For the parent, it's primary, but we have to look at all other factors. Surrounding the child.
How can we be better parents? African parents mostly. I know you've mentioned a lot of things by relearning. What are some of the major things we should consider to be better African parents?
Well, exposure matters, learning matters, and one thing is to learn. Another thing is to practicalize what you have learned. Then another thing is the mindset. I think mindset is a key factor. Now, if you have a mindset that I want to be better in the things I'm doing, then you will go all the way to get better. Let me give an example now. Another mistake that we haven't mentioned is parents not listening or trusting their children. That can be painful to some children.
Shut up. Shut up.
Do you understand? Maybe there's a particular situation and a child is trying to explain, then you don't listen to that child to get the child's point of view. Maybe because of the past behaviors of the child, you just jump to conclusion.
Because you just feel
because you feel
because you are the older one.
Exactly. So these are some of the things that children are also not happy about. So we should be able to trust our children to a reasonable extent, so that we can listen to them and understand, what they are saying at time.
Do you feel like the family size has anything to do with the quality of parenting?
Family size and quality of parenting, it all depends. Now, I think I'll look at it from the perspective of the quality of parents, the qualities in the parents. Now, if you have a small size family, we might look at it, that it may look easier because you have a small family. But what if those parents don't have the time to give, to take care of the children? So what are we going to be talking about? But you can have a situation where you have a large family, but you have the time to really take care of them. And when we are talking about time now, we are not really talking about quantitatively. We're talking about qualitative time. Because you can be at home, you can be at home, maybe you spend like 8 hours at home, yet you are not connecting with the children. But it is possible that you are, you have just 3 hours to spend, or maybe just 2 hours,
and you're connecting with the
connecting
children. You're
with
making
the
a lot of
children.
sense. Let's take one last caller before we say a wrap on the show. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, this is IK.
Okay, IK.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for calling, IK. IK from where?
Yeah. IK from Amokoko.
From Amokoko. Thanks for calling, IK. Talk to me.
Yeah. When you talk about parenting, I feel like parenting sometimes should be more about someone who is willing. Like when you talk about parenting, sometimes you don't just say that parenting. Sometimes it's not all about one giving birth to a child. I believe that a parent is someone who is there at that point to raise a child, because we have foster parenting. We have foster parents, foster father, because sometimes you see some parents who give birth to a child, but they are not responsible enough to be there to raise a child. So I believe that even if I'm being raised with someone who is not the biological father, but as long as he is there morally and doing what a parent should do, then I think that's the best parent for me, and that's what parenting should be all about. Being responsible, being having that courage to say, okay, I'm going to go through this, I'm going to be there as a father, I'm going to be responsible, I'm going
Makes a lot of
to
sense.
raise this child in a proper way. So that's what parenting is all about.
Interesting. Thank you so much for
Thank
calling.
you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. I feel like a lot of African parents even avoid being foster parents. Do you agree with that?
Well, coincidentally, I am a combination of a biological and foster parent.
Wow, how's that been? I'd love to hear more, but we have to go.
Yes.
But
Yeah, that was what I mentioned earlier. Biological and non-biological. You talk about parenting. So,
and how is that for you? In one word, how would you describe foster
fulfilling.
parenting? Fulfilling.
For me, it's fulfilling. And I've met a lot of people also that find it fulfilling. I think we need to do more of that. We need to do more of that. Yes.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Virgil Odunlekwe. I feel like we didn't even scratch the surface of this topic at all. But I'm sure we're able to, plant a seed, on the fertile soil and just watch it germinate with this, few points of ours. Right. How can people find you on social media in case they want more parenting mentorship and, counseling from you?
Okay, my name at Biodun Odunlekwe.
Yeah, so I pronounced it wrongly. I'm going to say Odunlekwe.
You have to pay for that. Biodun Odunlekwe. Odunlekwe is ODUNU KWE.
All right. So they can find you on Instagram,
Biodun
Facebook,
Odunlekwe,
and the rest of that. for more parenting and counseling, coaching sessions, and she does a lot of content. She's written a book with Redefined Parents. If you want to be a better parent, not every time you just be going through parenting, you just maybe they carry us, they go where we don't know. Let's prepare for parenting. Even if you are 18 years old, you are a young adult, start to prepare for parenting now. Not when you not get there, you start repeating the same thing that you learned from your parents, and then you say African parents at the end of the day. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge. This has been a fulfilling episode, and thank you to all my callers and listeners for being a part of the show and for sharing your thoughts on the topic of the day, common mistakes parents make, African parents meter. I hear you all. I've seen all your messages, but unfortunately time is not on our side. We have to share the answers to the question of the day on our next episode. So let's see who wins this episode of who wins this episode of the show. For myself, Deborah Waters, and Mrs. Odunokwe. I'll be live again next week on Monday from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Don't forget to follow at @deepwaters_podcast. I've been your host, Deborah Waters, and she's been my guest, Biodun Odunokwe.